Hey baddies, welcome to season 4. Today our guests are Caleb, Joshua, and Bekah Liechty from the band Girl Named Tom, a band that went from driving across the country in a minivan to making history as the first group to win The Voice. I don't know how I got the idea of inviting Caleb, Joshua, and Becca on the show, but I remember being intrigued by the idea of having a conversation with them about what it means for Mennonites, a religion that has traditionally emphasized the value of humility, and a community that has been called the quiet in the land, to become famous. For Mennonites to not only star on a nationally televised singing competition, but to win. In our conversation, we explore the question, is fame bad? We hear about how Caleb, Joshua, and Becca have maintained their core values while promoting their work, how fans reacted when they came out in public support of Palestine, and the balance of maintaining boundaries while living with a public platform and presence. Since we filmed this episode back in October, Girl Named Tom went on a Christmas tour, and now they are finally able to release their own original music, and they are on tour again. Their EP Wilder Than will be out on July 11th. I will have all the links to their tour schedule and their new music in the description. Also, before we recorded, I told Caleb, Joshua, and Becca that as I was preparing for this episode, I couldn't get the, hey, I want to be famous vine out of my head. So that is why Caleb brings it up at one point and I insert the clip. So if you know, you know. Last thought. We will soon have a Called to Be Bad email sign up so we can give you a heads up on episode releases and podcast updates and, all things bad and beautiful. So I will let you know when that is live and how you can sign up. Enjoy the show.
And that's one thing I see with you, Becca, is that ever since we were kids, you've had a star quality that you love the limelight.
I love it.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And so it's not unnatural for you to do some of the things that being a star requires. It's actually natural.
Most natural.
And the most you.
Yeah.
And that's where I think sometimes the Menanite humility be detrimental to our upbringings, depending on our truest self. Sometimes the Mennonite upbringing tells you that truest self is sinful. You shouldn't be that truest self. You shouldn't let that truest self out.
Okay.
1, 2, ready, go.
Welcome to the Called to Be Bad podcast. My name is Mariah Martin, and I feel called to be bad. It turns out I'm not the only one. Join us as we dig into all things bad, scandalous, deviant, the stuff that makes good church folks squirm in the sanctuary. Why? Well, because sometimes the scandalous is spiritual, deviant is divine, and bad is beautiful. Say yes to the call, and let's see what holy trouble we get into today. See, I need one of those thingies. Okay. Hello, Caleb, Joshua, and Becca. Welcome to Called to Be Bad. This has been a long time coming. I mean, Caleb, you and I were emailing for years?
Years. I think it has.
Literally years to do this. Yeah. So I'm so happy that this is finally happening and I get to talk to you all.
Thanks for us. It's great to be here.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about fame. So that'll be, we'll see how that goes. My husband Nick was like, is there people that think that fame is a bad thing? And I was like, well, I think especially in the kind of Menno anti-pride culture, there's this resistance to having a spotlight on you or doing things specifically for attention, fame. So anyways, we'll see what we get into. Mm-hmm. But before we dive in, I'm curious what you all are drinking today. Joshua, you looked like you had a cool big glass.
This is some I'm just drinking some turmeric tea.
Nice.
It's got a little hint of lime, though. It's lovely.
What?
And this is a mug made by Nora Ruth, who is a Goshen grad, and she's an incredible potter. And yeah, it's quite delightful.
That's a really cool.
Yeah, I've got one of those too.
Yeah,
It's so
just-
nice.
Yeah.
Gotta show it off.
What is, I'm trying to see like what all is, oh, it's flowers. Oh, that is
Petals.
gorgeous. That
Just-
is really beautiful.
Yeah, just such nice, beautiful edges, like really thin. I would show you how thin the rim is, but then I would be spilling all over the computer. But yeah,
Pretty. You could
Check
look
her
at that
out.
every morning and see something new.
yeah. Lovely.
I've got a custom girl named Tom.
Oh, that is sweet.
It has the logo on it. This is made by Mark Nafziger, who has a pottery shop at Souter Village in Archbold, Ohio, where we grew up, and we went to church at Zion Menanite Church with Mark Nafziger. He was in the church band called 1AD with our dad.
Oh, nice.
Harp and sing harmonies, and we've always just
Looked up to
loved
him.
Mark, and he and his wife are both incredible artists. So he made us these
Ginkgo leaves that he like.
ginkgo leaves that
Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool.
I feel like you both have like relatively boring drinks in
I've-
mugs, though.
It's all about the
Yeah.
vessel.
It's about the vessel.
Yeah.
Exactly. Obviously.
Well, mine is
Yeah.
about the drink. Cause look at that.
Okay. What in the world? What is that?
I don't know.
It's a candy corn latte right there.
Becca made
Oh,
it.
that is. Becca would hate it. Is that what you said?
She made it.
Oh, Becca made it. Oh.
What is it?
That is so cool. Yeah. What is it?
It has espresso and whipped cream and coffee. Pretty simple, but if you swirl it all around, you'll get the caramel to like go into the cream and the coffee.
Oh my
Nice
god.
swirl.
That's a good swirl.
Good swirl.
That's
Okay, you gotta taste it and tell us how it is.
Have you had some yet?
No.
The first taste.
It's good. I thought it would be too sweet because of the caramel, but since it just kind of gently rubs the caramel on its way up, tiny hint. It's great.
That is not a sentence I think I've ever heard before in my life.
And also, this here goes to our fame conversation because
Yeah.
we got to sing in front of 300,000 people at the Indianapolis 500, and it's still the
so
biggest crowd
cool.
we've ever sang in front of
Yeah.
live. And this, I guess this is from that, like
Yeah.
a little package
Yeah.
they put together for us. Yeah.
Nice.
In there.
When you're in a band, you get free stuff a lot, and so
Sweet. Hey, that could be part of our conversation, getting freebies. I don't know.
that's very Mennonite actually. That's just like
Absolutely.
It
standard
is.
Mennonite. Take
The
free.
marriage of fame and Mennonites,
Yes.
free things, goodies.
Yes.
I like it. That's awesome. I wondered if you were, Caleb, if you're going to continue the like Menno mug theme, but you deviated
No,
from
I
the
did,
theme.
but I also am going to be drinking from this today, which is
Oh, Rocket Mountain.
Mountain right there.
That was the camp that I grew up going to, and I was a
Really?
counselor. My parents got married there, and Nick and I got married there.
Wow.
So you just got a lot of brownie points for having that mug.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyways, oh yeah, my mug. Okay. I was getting so excited with our Menno connections. So it is not a Mennonite mug, nor is it like all that exciting, but it's a Halloween mug. Nick and his family, they love like seasonal decorations, and so he has so much. This is my husband I'm talking about. So he has so much like Halloween stuff from his childhood. So like I just had to pull out a 90s Halloween mug. And my coffee I'm drinking, I brought the bag up because I don't know, I felt like it. Have you guys heard of like the Four Sigmatic? It's like mushroom coffee. Like they put
heard of that.
mushrooms in it. Like you can't taste it, but it's supposed to like have all these like good things. It might just be marketing. I don't know. But it's funny because it's like balance, organic, half calf coffee, de-stress plus energy. I don't know how you achieve both because
Love that.
it seems like they would cancel each other out, but I don't know. We'll see.
Element.
That's the
That's
best.
much-
Yeah.
Providing energy without any of the anxiety.
Oh my god.
Yes, I mean that would be ideal. So we'll see if I like get anxious or if I'm just like really chill and like yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Chill.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So
Yeah.
diving in. Normally we start with definitions, but I'm like everyone knows what fame is, so I think.
Oh,
I
I
don't
like
think
that
we
you
need
start
to
with
do that.
definitions though. That's cool.
Well, and I mean generally, yeah, because they make such a difference. It helps create shared language for the episode. But I don't think I think people know what fame is. So, yeah, and kind of talking about the pros and cons of having a public platform. Like, I was just on Anabaptist World, and you all did the live stream, and afterwards, it was such a weird experience because normally how my online presence is pretty curated because I can go and edit these episodes, but that one was live, and later I was like overanalyzing everything I said and did. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you all have experienced that a lot.
Overanalyzing is
That's the definition of fame, is that you have to live over analyzing yourself every second. Yeah.
That would be stressful. So, like, I'm especially curious about this, like, transition time. Like, you talked in your interview about you were, moving around in a van, and you were, like, singing at pretty small venues and churches, and that was kind of your starter place. And then all of a sudden you're on this, like, national platform of The Voice. Like, I'm very curious about, I don't know, like the emotional, like spiritual, like what all was going on inside of you as you moved from this small platform to a kind of a worldwide stage.
Right when we started the band, we had a coach helping us decide and name our goals, name our fears, and create pillars and values that we could keep core to what we do, everything that we do. Because we're siblings, it's so important to us that as we navigate this business, and right when we started, we really didn't know what it would be, but we had hopes and dreams right from the jump to reach as many hearts as we can, and truly make a difference with the power of music that has affected us in our own lives ever since we were kids.
And being intentional in how we do that.
Yeah.
And keeping our relationships at the forefront of what we do.
It's family first above all. So going around the country in the van, singing to groups of 12 people sometimes, we wanted to have a very high standard for everything we did. And so as we went on to national television and we heard that there was 8 million people watching, it was so bewildering, and I don't know if I fully registered what was happening while we were doing it. We just knew we were having fun. And we kept a high standard for ourselves throughout the whole thing, but really didn't go in with many expectations of winning, or we signed a big contract that if you do win the show, you get this record deal with a big record label. And we're like, wow, that looks a little. We showed the deal to some of our mentors, and they're like, wow, that deal is they would kind of have you locked up for a while after if you would win. So we didn't have many expectations. So now we're in this position where our high standards did take us through, and America did love what we showed them, and that's awesome. And the stories that we hear of how people connect to our music is like really what brings it home for me, because that's what we set out to do 5 years ago, reach their hearts.
And to bring it back to what was going on in our brains, I can speak for myself. I think in any, I was going to say traumatic situation, and in a way this was sort of that, or just extreme. Maybe it's extreme situation.
It's extreme.
I think we all as humans have an ability to put up shields and insulate ourselves to a certain degree, where we can convince ourselves that this isn't real life, almost. Like if you're losing someone, or
dissociate.
If someone's dying, or something really difficult is happening, or great change is happening. Maybe even if you're like pregnant, I imagine you're just like, okay, sure. All my senses are telling me this is real, but it's not. Everything is normal. This is okay.
I can do this.
Or even this isn't happening.
Yes.
A little bit of that.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, just a little bit of that. Just like a denial that anything is really changing that fast. Because I think we aren't capable of taking in change that fast. I don't believe. So we delay it. And so then the months after are a great time of processing and a heavy time of processing all the change. And so that's when I think of it as a little bit traumatic, because you do need some therapy and you need some time and conversation to deal with what just changed so rapidly. And sometimes we're not ready for it. But like Becca said, we did do counseling and had coaching and a lot of wisdom that we were open to from the get-go back in 2019 when we started. And I think that set us up as successfully as we could have.
Yeah. And I want to add too that like when we first went out to LA, off the back of our minivan tour, we had no idea like how our music would like resonate with a massive audience. Like we knew what it did in these small rooms and how it really connected with people, and people kept saying like, you have something really special here, keep this going. But when we got to LA, and there are like 100 other artists out there who are just absolutely incredible, I think it's kind of a microcosm of fame and like kind of feeling like a fraud, like not
Yeah, that's a big
enough,
thing.
like not good enough, like oh my word,
Imposter syndrome.
imposter syndrome. Like everybody else is like so much better
So
than I
true.
am, like better, like using that kind of language. And like, how are we here right now?
Yeah.
That those kinds of questions kept coming, and like Becca said, I think not having expectations was a real positive, but keeping our standard high, like, we were there to like do our best. But I think keeping our expectations low really did help us help our mental health, just be like,
Right.
we're gonna do our best, have fun with this, and go as far as we can. And yeah, it was really humbling to see that the music was connecting in the same way that it was with 12 people in a living room. It was with 8 million people watching on TV. And yeah, it's a very interesting process, and not something that you can really prepare for. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Caleb, what you said about that kind of like that disassociating coping mechanism of like, this isn't real life, and like the parallels to like grief or like any other big changes that feels very true. Like I can relate to that. That feels very true of like, no, this can't be real. And it's amazing that from the get-go you're like, okay, if we're going to do this, we are going to stay centered. We are going to stay rooted in our values and who we are as people. And that kind of carried you through even in these moments of like imposter syndrome or, like not expecting what's going to happen. It's almost like that Menanite Humility like came in clutch a little bit. Like it was just like, you're like, we're just gonna do our thing and see how it goes, and have low expectations and yeah.
constant reminders that who we are is enough. We have so many people in our lives that tell that, ingrained that in us, but still, it's still a daily reminder that like to be confident in what you bring to the table, and that your voice is different than everybody else's in a beautiful way, not a better or worse way. It's just
Right.
unique.
It's just
way
different.
to do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so those reminders went a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the way of like that's oh sorry, go ahead. You
No,
were
you
gonna
go
say. Well, I was just like, I would imagine that would be one of the only ways for this to be sustainable, is for you all to kind of cling to who you are as people and kind of the art of your music, rather than kind of putting your value outside of yourselves and like how people are responding to your music and kind of the feedback or the downloads, or like I can relate with the podcast. Like you can't keep going if you're worried about numbers and all of that. So
That's
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
You,
it-
you
yeah, it
get
does.
clinging to your core.
It
Yeah,
it will.
It's not a straight line. It's not linear in any way.
right.
Yeah, but just having confidence
Taking a
and
step every
belief in
day.
what we do. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. and doing it because you love it, not because you know, and because you have, because of that connection with your fans and your listeners and their stories, not doing it for the numbers or the fame, you know. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so, yeah, we do think fame is an unfortunate byproduct of, at least that's how I see it. It's not
Okay.
why we do this. It's unfortunately the only way we can be financially
Pay the
sustainable.
bills.
Like, it's by,
Preach. Yeah.
yeah. So, some people like I don't know, you got to add that Vine in there.
Hey, I want to be famous.
I want to be
Hey, I want to be famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do it really well.
Oh, those early R.I.P. Vine, man, I miss those days.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people get into this business for that reason.
For the reason. Yeah.
Because I guess it's attractive to some people, but as Mennonites, it's not that attractive. So it's a yeah, we have to convince ourselves to do the things that fame requires,
Yeah.
as far as self-promotion. Telling people to look at me.
Yeah.
It feels bad. It feels bad to
feels
us at a kind
bad.
of core level.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't want to be seen, but you just want the music to be heard and felt, but that realization of, oh, this music can't be heard or felt if we're not seen,
Yes.
and we can't put food on our table if we don't go out and perform on a stage. Like, it's just, like Caleb said, an unfortunate byproduct of this music business. And when you can connect those dots and, okay, this being seen will lead to people's hearts being touched. Okay, then I'm okay being seen.
Right.
But sometimes you compare yourselves to others who are pretty good at being seen,
Yeah.
and maybe they're a little shinier, glitzier, glammier, or they got Botox just last week and it looks they look a little younger, and we've really set some commitments to remaining our most natural selves, our most healthier selves. And of course, there will be moments where we waver and wobble, but we've got each other, and we rate each other in that we want to be graceful in our approach, and we want to be gentle with ourselves in this, and surround ourselves with people, like Josh said, that remind us of our unique gifts, and we can remind them of their unique gifts. Yeah.
So I'm curious, Becca, how do you balance remaining your truest natural self with self-promotion and saying, hey guys, please look at me?
That's a great question.
I think that balance,
Or how do you integrate the two, I think is what I meant to say.
integrate the two. Yeah, I mean, I want to be in my style. I love fashion, and I love makeup, and I love high-heeled shoes. When I was a little girl, I told my dad, when I'm 18, I'm going to wear high heels every day. And now I'm 24, and I kind of do. And
Amazing.
that's literally just because I want to.
Yeah.
And I think that thread of, like, your truest self just comes from being with yourself more, and realizing those things, and always asking the question, who am I doing this for? Is it for the female gaze, for the male gaze, or is it because I just feel awesome like this? I really like that. And then when you feel awesome like this, you're more comfortable in those settings of, like, come down to our Christmas show this fall, this season. You just feel a little more at home.
And that's one thing I see with you, Becca, is that ever since we were kids, you've had a star quality that you love the limelight.
I love it.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And so it's not unnatural for you to do some of the things that being a star requires. It's actually natural.
Most natural.
And the most you.
Yeah.
And that's where I think sometimes the Menanite humility be detrimental to our upbringings, depending on our truest self. Sometimes the Mennonite upbringing tells you that truest self is sinful. You shouldn't be that truest self. You shouldn't let that truest self out. And that's where, I mean, in many ways does the church do that. But this is one way where that star quality gets
And
pushed down.
I did feel like when I was sharing music at church at the piano or, play the offertory and sing a song, I absolutely loved that. And I did feel that internal struggle of like, I I love singing, and I also just want people's hearts to be melted the way that mine is being melted too.
Sure.
And I think, there were people who really encouraged that in all of us when we went up to share our music at church. They were like, "Oh, you're the Liechty Von Traps," or,
It's so cute.
"I want to be your manager. We'll move to Nashville." And I was like 12 years old, and
They're talking to you. They weren't talking to us.
so it was just like, okay, cool. So we were affirmed in our musical gifts,
Yeah.
I would say, by the church enormously.
And they gave you a stage. They gave you a place to kind of step into your natural desire for an audience to share your music, to share your art.
Oh yeah, and we messed up so much. It was so good. It's good for us. Good kids to go up there and mess up and kind of feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
I-
So do you all go ahead?
Well, I think one of the challenges of and that might be kind of unique to our fame is like really finding our community of GNT fans. So like one of the byproducts of The Voice was, The Voice told this story of who we are. That some of it resonates, but not all of it really resonates with who we are. And so we got so many followers, and then like, trying to figure out like how to like retain them it became like a focus versus like, yeah, like for us being real, earthy, authentic, and singing in harmony, like that is our core, and like, yeah, like good values and all this stuff. And lots of these fans, I think, kind of expected us to go different places, with this. And so I think that's like why for some artists it looks really graceful. It's because it's just like their truest expression of themselves, and they've really found their community and like their way to connect with their fans in a way that just makes sense to them and their fans. And so I think for us, like, we had this real grassroots building process during our minivan tour that like anything we did kind of, it just worked, and it connected with our fans because it's like our fans really knew who we were. And now we feel like there's this disconnect where lots of our following doesn't.
They think of us as a TV character.
Yeah, doesn't.
So
know
now there's
who we
like
are.
2 Girl Named Toms out there. Whereas for a while there was just that one.
Yeah.
And actually the other Girl Named Tom's bigger and brighter and more popular than just the one that we had started with.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
So yeah.
Can you say more about like that kind of disconnect of like what is, do you think, the perceived expectation of who Girl Named Tom is versus kind of the real Girl Named Tom, unless you're like intentionally like trying not to name that?
No. Well, for example, like one of the top
Google search.
Google searches is Girl Named Tom Mormon. Like lots of
Whoa.
Mormon or like
Interesting.
Conservative or evangelical or like
This and
Christian
that.
is a huge part of our like online aura or something. It's
Okay.
like, yeah, which we wouldn't list that as like one of our top identities in terms
Sure.
of Girl Named, like
As an
who
artist.
Girl Named Tom is as a project.
As far as the band, yeah.
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 And we don't even know how that happened because through The Voice,
Yeah.
that wasn't a story, but people just... Oh, and when you're a TV character, people just make you who they want you to be.
That's so true.
More than like... And
There's a lot of projection.
we weren't allowed to sing original music, so we were singing covers, and so yeah, we got put into a box. But to be fair to The Voice, the box that they put us in wasn't that far
Wasn't
off.
left
It was all
field.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that far
Sure.
off. So it has been disconnect, but and not like grand one that.
Yeah. And no matter what we do or what any artist does, people will see it or hear it with their own lens, right? And so then
Yeah.
they see it differently. They'll take something you said and run with it. They'll they have a song called Psalm 23 on Spotify. That must mean they're this way.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's just like you never fully know that what's behind the veil, and we're not playing
Yeah.
characters. There are a lot of artists who play characters and love that because they can have that and then they have their personal life. For us, it's kind of like we're just we want to just be us. We don't want to be characters up on stage. We just want to be us. And so we have explored and defined, and we're constantly changing and evolving into a deeper version of ourselves, and it feels really good right now. It feels really good, and I don't know if for me it ever felt bad.
No, I think the thing is that a lot of people can't go to listen to our music online because we haven't released any of this stuff we've written recently.
That's because it's loading.
So our
In the works.
our true story for the last 3 years hasn't been told through our music.
Broadcasted.
And we're pretty bad.
Okay.
We're also not gifted at making videos and like talking to the camera and sharing what's going on
Social media
on
wise.
social media.
It's hard.
That's a tough.
It's hard. It's like a whole other job is to like develop a social media presence and keep that active and authentic. And yeah, I understand. And especially because you didn't get into it. Well, I guess this is an assumption. You didn't get into it to like have a social media brand. You got into it for the music.
All right.
And so like again to do these things to keep you to have that exposure for your music, but that's not necessarily where your heart is.
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be hard. I mean, it's hard to like, I feel like on a broader on a bigger platform, it's easy to kind of develop this like caricature, because then people are like, oh, I know who Girl Named Tom is because they fit into these parameters. But it's hard when there's nuance there. You're like, yeah, maybe Christianity is part of our platform or part of our music. It's part of our upbringing. And, you know, but that and ... gets lost in the noise.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be hard. So there, Caleb shared about a moment when you all went public in your support of Palestine and kind of voicing, I guess, I don't know, yeah, kind of voicing your support or kind of a cry to end the pain and suffering in the genocide. And there was some social media backlash. Do you want to tell that story? I guess I just kind of said it a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's like rewind and have you tell the story from your perspective of what happened.
Okay. We were appalled on October 7th. It was right before my wedding, and it kind of hung heavily over all of the celebrations. Although we were able to see the wedding as an act of resistance and joyful resistance.
For those that don't know, Caleb's wife is Palestinian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know
Okay.
if I mentioned.
Okay. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the three of us have been learning a lot more about the history and the oppression
Injustice.
and the injustices that are happening right now and have been happening for decades. And so we had been waiting for a long time to say anything about it publicly as Girl Named Tom. We've been thinking about it. And then one day I had a conversation with this man, Mohammed, who is from Gaza. And I just came home and I was like, guys, we just have to say something by now. Like, sure, it feels too late, but it's also never too late to voice support of people who are being oppressed. Like, what would Jesus do? Like, we've been this way. Actually, this is another thing fame does to you. It makes you overanalyze and question who you are in public, and whether that person is the same as who you are inside. And before The Voice, we had been on social media during the Black Lives Matter movement. We had gone to protests, and we did a a whole concert of songs of resistance, featuring songs from the 60s and 70s that were written in the civil rights movement era. And so it was a part of Girl Named Tom from its inception. But since The Voice, and since all of a sudden we had 150,000 followers on Instagram, we hadn't got into the arena again, whatever that arena is. I guess it's political,
Social justice,
but
yeah.
social justice, that's
Yeah,
it.
and again, I would say a good transition here is that like that's another part of the disconnect. Lots of people, the vast majority of like Christians who like follow and support and love us because we're Christian don't see like social justice as a part of that identity. I don't think, or it just
Sure.
looks a very different way than how we do, and
We get
Yeah.
a lot of comments that say, stick to singing. And
Oof.
we're like, this is singing. This is what singing is for to us. For change and change of heart, for inspiration, for love, for peace, for the Spirit of God to come down and take residence in our hearts, and we feel that through music that is possible. And so when something is happening and a humanitarian crisis is happening, we find that's when we are most needed as artists, and we want peace is one of our core elements as Girl Named Tom.
and it's scary, and it's very scary because it's like with this big following and with a big team now surrounding us. On one hand, it's beautiful and it allows us to keep growing and do what we love to do. But then on the other hand, anything that we do that disrupts this image that we've created impacts more than just us.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Oh man.
There's a lot of
And that's an added element of pressure.
Yeah.
entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we care about that. We care about everyone on our team and, their well-being. We know that we're a part of their salary, and that's a real thing that is putting pressure on our shoulders. And at the end of the day, they're working for us, and we need people around us who believe in our mission, because we can't, set aside a core part of ourselves for someone else's opinion that might differ from ours,
And we've felt support from our team as
Yeah.
well. I just want to put that out there.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're learning more about how to avoid trigger words that might do more harm than good, or how to bring about what we're actually intending.
Right. It's how to speak to people who like, if you use some words, just wouldn't listen at all.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Without being like diluted and like not saying anything.
Wishy-washy.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you speak so that people can listen and know your heart, and also stay true and stay clear and not kind of slip into more like a neutral or passive place?
Exactly.
Yeah,
You get it.
that's hard. Yeah, I don't know if there's more that we want to go into of like the distinction of like having a spotlight on you for spotlight's sake versus I don't know if there's like more we want to dig into like in the fame element of like, or the Menanite Humility part.
Yeah, well, I guess we shared this on the Anabaptist World podcast as well, that interview, that our
Uncle Russ.
and
Oh yeah.
our grandpa would say stuff like this too all the time about, oh, I'm not supposed to be proud, but I don't think our grandpa ever actually did
No.
say I'm
Oh,
proud
absolutely
of you.
not.
Never.
No, he never.
But our uncle has gotten around to saying that he's proud of us, but he'll like he'll throw up disclaimer at the beginning, like, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I'm proud of you.
Right.
He would
Yeah.
he would say that to all his grandkids. Like it was something he would say often. It was really sweet.
But it speaks to the just You said anti-pride earlier, and I was like, I pictured like
Oh
a
gosh.
pride, like I was like, what? Oh, but you meant like
Yeah,
Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Oh no. See, this is why having a podcast is better than like going live, because I can go back and be like, what? That is not what I meant to say. Lord have mercy.
No,
Yeah,
you-
I mean, so that's a question, like, what have been moments that you've like looked back on and you've been like, oh man, that's not quite what I meant, or like, because putting yourself out publicly, like there is that kind of risk of being misunderstood, and it's hard to kind of correct that.
Or just saying the wrong thing up straight up,
Right.
and like being like, I said that and really did not mean that. Like, for example,
Yes.
when we were playing our first show in Tennessee. It was in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we had just done like 3 shows in North Carolina, and this is very mundane, but like I would say, doesn't
Go
mean
for it.
anything, but like I said like, what's up, North Carolina, and it was in Tennessee, and I was like, everyone was like,
Our first
What?
show in Tennessee.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so,
Man.
like make
That
fun
was
of
not
yourself,
too
and-
harmful.
No, not harmful at all.
But still sucks because it makes the crowd feel not seen, and
Right.
like you don't really care about them.
They didn't throw
Yeah.
tomatoes at us, but they did throw a couple V8s, which was worse.
Oh my god, it's a lot of vegetables in one.
Who takes the V8 to a concert? That is literally so random. That's
But-
hilarious.
No, that was funny.
I don't know if we have too many stories of saying something we regret.
I mean, sometimes in an interview I'll be a little too honest,
Mm.
and then there's an article written about it the next
Oh, that
day.
did happen once. Yeah.
And then
Wait, tell me about it. I mean, if you're okay sharing, I don't know what you're referencing.
they'll maybe write another article if I tell you about it. I'm joking. They will.
Hey, speak your truth.
Sometimes, and I think Chapel Roan is dealing with this a little bit. And she
Yeah.
talks about how fame isn't normal and how celebrity is very strange for her. And sometimes fans have wanted to give her a hug, and she's just like, I don't feel like giving you a hug right now. And people are saying, Chapel Roan hates fans. Like, wait, we don't like her. She hates her fans. Or, well,
Yeah.
it's like, why should we be fans of her if she's not cool with us? And, I think that boundary is really interesting.
Mhm. It's a great.
And
People will come up and say like, I'm so sorry, but I have to give you a hug.
yeah.
Oh.
That kind of language, like I'm so sorry, but like,
Or they don't say I'm so sorry. They say I need a hug.
yeah, or like, let's take a picture. Here, let's take a picture. Like while we're like eating dinner with our family or something, like,
Oh, yikes.
yeah.
It's a little disrespectful at times, and we don't really know how to navigate and
Well, yeah, I'm getting worked up now for on behalf of you all. I think it's this sense of like, because you have a public platform, then people feel entitled to your space, or there's like this parasocial relationship. They feel like they know you, even though they don't really, but they feel entitled to your space or time or photos, etc., because of your fame or public platform.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have devoted a lot to us, especially if they drove a long way to come see our concert and they spent hard-earned money.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that people spend time and money to come listen to us sing is bewildering to us and amazing. And we do owe them a great show. And we will give them a great show. And we would love to meet them. And sometimes we're human too, and sometimes, if something's a little too we have our
That's what they're
boundaries
paying
of
for.
space.
You are entitled to your boundaries. Absolutely. Yeah. How do you kind of maintain those boundaries or assert those boundaries in those moments?
You gotta be bad sometimes.
Gotta be bad sometimes.
That's my role. I say that's it, or I say
You're
legal.
the bouncer.
I'm the person that's has to raise my voice or just say the hard thing.
And he doesn't.
That's
You
kind
do
of
it
mean.
gracefully.
I do it gracefully, yeah. I try to.
When the
And
fifth
sometimes I don't even want to do it, and we all just end up going with the flow.
when the fifth person in line that is a 60-year-old man proposes to Becca, uh,
Then we
You
both
said
get mad.
that's one thing you hold the boundary by saying no to the marriage proposals.
with their wife.
You legitimately get marriage proposals?
I mean, it's not serious.
Still,
But like
But
they'll
it's-
get down on a knee
But,
and
yeah.
like
Seriously
just like
awkward.
do like really awkward.
Seriously awkward.
They make a weird thing of it,
So you
sometimes.
kind of have this like protective element of like protecting your peace, protecting Becca from the.
yeah, and ideally we have someone there as well who can do it.
Okay.
I don't, because I
He
in
shouldn't
the end,
have
I
to.
want to be the an
good guy.
artist,
The
like
good
a
guy.
good guy.
Yeah, you're
supposed to
not
be-
there to
Yeah.
be the literal bouncer. Yeah, you're there to share your music and.
And most people are very respectful.
Of course.
It's
Of
just
course.
1% quacks.
Yeah, and that's gonna happen anywhere. But again, like having a public platform, you're more open to those things. Yeah. Well, curious if you have any advice or anything that you've learned over the years of kind of how to have a healthy sense of fame in a public platform.
That's a great question. I think, yeah, the healthy aspect is individual to yourself and your art. And I see it sort of like this. Like we're raising a child together. Almost like our Girl Named Tom project is 5 years old. It's just entering kindergarten. And people say when they're parenting that every stage is so different. And just when you've got it figured out at the terrible twos, now they're three
That's
and
right,
they're
yeah.
worse. Or, now you have to learn. So as your art develops and your relationship to your art keeps going up and down, you might feel like you've got it figured out and this is a great routine. Then it'll change. And it's okay when it changes. It doesn't mean that everything is doomed. You might feel that way because I've felt that way. But
Oh,
it's changing and
yeah.
it's a good thing. It will be a new inspiration when it reaches you.
That's
And I
beautiful
think
metaphor. I love that.
that's a great metaphor. I think whatever your medium is for art, like write yourself pep talks or like work that into your art, and so that like when you're sharing it, it feels good to share, like for the 20th time, when you have to make another little promotional video of a chorus. You're like, okay, at least like I really believe in these words, and it feels it's like lifting me up while hopefully it's lifting somebody else up as well.
You should see Josh's mirror.
There you
Josh's
go.
mirror has a lot of. What are some of the quotes on your mirror?
One is by Frank Vidal that says, "Style is knowing who you are, what you want to say, and not giving a damn."
I like it.
Girls are cool.
You've got your affirmations on your mirror. That's really adorable. I love that.
My advice would be to spend a little time each week as you're creating, looking back as well as forward. So often we focus on the future, but sometimes that can be scary and also disorienting. Looking back has been important for us three. Like, it's easier as a family because we can like look back at videos. But just yesterday, I was making a vertical edit of a video that we made back in our first year together. It's Walnut Hills video that we filmed on our grandparents' farm, and it's just beautiful, and it's just a terrific piece of art. And in a time like we're at right now, where the future is uncertain and the present is scary, and we sometimes waffle as to whether we have anything. Are we special? Do we have anything? Like, routinely looking back and our just kind of remembering who we've always been. Like, sure, we're growing so much, and it's cool to see like what we did back then that we would like change now, but also there's something there that's still in us and still who we want to be, and
Yeah.
it's pretty
that spark?
valuable. And in my relationship, we just celebrated our first anniversary, me and my wife, and we do the same thing. Like yesterday, we thought about who we were when we first met, and like,
Yeah.
yeah, we've grown so much since then, and we're glad we've grown 100%. But also, there's so much about who we were right at the beginning that we want to keep, and we're glad we still have, and we hope to keep going forward. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like,
Totally.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like you were saying early on, like it's keeping you centered and kind of connected to those values, and be intentional about who you are now.
Yeah.
Are you going to say something, Becca, or yeah, go.
Well, fame can bring it back to fame. Fame has a tendency to speed everything up, right? It wants you to like speed everything up. And another thing I have written on my mirror is nature's in no hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Like walk, don't run, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there is this illusion of overnight success, and all at once you're on Times Square advertisements, and then people will be like, whoa, looking at your stuff. That getting up on Times Square or playing Carnegie Hall or Madison Square Garden or even, Souter Hall at Goshen College, playing like those happenings are
Fruit.
so many nights of work and all of all
Right.
the labor that needs to be
Yeah.
done before the fruit is able
It's
to be harvested.
just one step at a time, like you can't speed it up. You can't force it. Yeah. That's great. Joshua, now I want to like a picture of your mirror. We can like post it along with this episode of like Joshua's affirmations.
yeah.
I like it.
Side Instagram. A
love
little side
it.
Instagram. I like
Oh
the day.
That's
Like
good.
that's great.
Yeah.
yeah. We're like so. So what all do you have coming up? Where can we be looking for you? What's in the phrase in the wings? Is that the phrase? See, this is the moments where I just like say things and I'm like, I don't know. So, Christmas, is that what's coming up? It's not even Halloween. What are you doing?
Christmas time is here.
I know, Mariah. It's really funky.
Yeah, just
Is that like for your music, or is it, or is one of you just like a Christmas freak?
That's for the music.
Yeah.
That
Sure.
none of us would be doing this in September.
But I'm
like
not
we
mad
did.
about it. But I'm not.
Keep telling yourselves that. Keep telling no.
We kind of drive home and see the Christmas tree through the window
nice.
in early October.
So cozy. So cozy.
In life's
Yeah.
decisions.
yes, go to girlnametom.com. You'll see all of our tour dates. What else? Oh, and then also we have, if you join our email list at girlnametom.com, you will be able to get the inside scoop on our releases in 2025 that aren't Christmas.
Yes.
Finally,
Yes.
that are our actual souls and our storytelling. We're very excited about that.
Another
Yeah, that little bit of storytelling that you were referencing earlier of like, is that what you're talking about?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just getting a chance to tell our story. So excited.
Yeah.
Through the music.
Thank you for being patient with us, listeners who are fans of Girl Named Tom. We are so thankful for you.
Yes.
You
Yes.
truly make our world go round, and we cannot wait to release more music for you to listen to.
And for us.
And for us, because you know what? We're listening to it right now, and we're having a pretty good time.
Nice.
That's when you know it's good, when you're like, oh, you're enjoying it as it's happening.
We're all beaming just ear to ear.
Yeah.
See, that's like that natural self-promotion, it comes up naturally because you're like, I am so excited about this. I want the world to know about it. That is that genuine, like, please listen because you're
Yes,
excited.
you're right. You're right.
Yes, yes.
That makes me really happy and excited for you all. I'm getting excited. I'm ready for it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We have a tradition of like ending with a blessing. So would it be okay if I bless you all and all of our baddies out there listening or watching?
Yes.
Okay. All of you baddies and Girl Named Tom fans, may you go from this episode full of honest desire to share your art, what you love doing. May you go from this space full of harmony and love, music, something. Amen.
Amen.
That's all for this episode of Called to Be Bad. Keep being your bad, beautiful selves, and I will see you next time.